I want to follow up on a story we covered on Friday. We mentioned how Kevin McHale, James Harden's former coach, of course, said Harden was, quote, not a leader during an episode of NBA TV's Open Court. Well, Harden was asked about it this weekend, did not hold back in his response at all. Take a listen.
He's a clown, honestly. You know, I did anything and everything he asked me, to do. I try to lead his team every single day since I've stepped foot here in Houston. He's never taught me anything, to be a leader. But I've done a great job. I think the organization, my coaches, you can ask any of those guys, how I've worked extremely hard every single day to better, obviously be a basketball player, but be a leader as well.
Stephen?
I love James. He just make me laugh. Just his insults are just so cool and laid back. But he is the offensive leader. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The best players lead by example. You want your best players to lead by example, and he is not your defensive leader for sure.
Nope.
So I understand what McHale is saying in so many ways. Like Tim Duncan, for example. He was our defensive leader. Mm-hmm. He was our offensive leader. But the biggest thing, when Pop get on somebody, he can get on Tim and curse him out. How could guys like us not take it? So when you teach through your best players, if you can't teach through your best player, then he is not your leader. Your best player has to be your leader, and James was not their best player. I mean, that was not their leader, but he was their best player.
Yeah, his leadership kind of fell apart at the end of that Spurs series last year. I think this whole thing is kind of great theater, and I don't think James is clearly right to defend himself. He got called out. He can say whatever he wants, and I don't think anything that Kevin said was like that far out of what the consensus. It's also not that far out of what the consensus is. Like James Harden's an all-time great offensive player. Is he a leader? I don't know.
They have a leader now.
I think that was part of Kevin's point, is hey, Chris Paul came there, and he's considered one of the great leaders in the NBA right now. Kevin's point also was that James was not a leader when he was there. I think you do have to give Harden some credit that he went back that summer after Kevin left and said, and after things really, remember 1, 2, 3 Cancun, that year, right. That he came back and said, hey, I have to do better. And then you saw him making a lot of efforts with the players in the locker room to gather them for a little mini camp and try to sort of lead by example in other ways. He played more defense, at least, a little bit of that. So I'm sure that part of that visceral reaction was, hey, I've improved since then.
Right.
You're not seeing it. And that probably is part of what we're seeing, too. But you're right. It's great theater. He's the clown. I mean, this is the NBA. It's why it's like high school. You got the insults and everything.